Hi drummers, happy well. Right, 1 minute drum lesson, here we go. Shout out to channel member John, who says, where should I be looking when I'm playing the drums? I think this is a really interesting question. He said, this might sound like a daft question, it definitely isn't, John, but I noticed myself playing and not really looking at what I was doing, just gazing into the ether. It made me think about whether this is important or not. Should I be looking at my sticks or where they should be going next, or doesn't it matter? Is there any convention around this? There's no great convention around it as far as I'm aware. I can only speak from my own experience. This is what I do. Obviously, it sort of almost goes without saying, but if I'm reading music, I would look at the music and mostly be focused on that, I guess. Depending how much I needed to concentrate on it, I would come back to the kit, and especially things like, I always feel like a ride cymbal bell, right? If you've got to hit one of those and you're over here looking at the music, I definitely have a little glance over to that before hitting it. Outside of looking at, say that I wasn't reading music, if I was in a live situation, I would somewhat be looking at what I was doing. I would definitely be looking at the other members of the band as well, seeing what's going on, perhaps looking out to the audience as well, just trying to contribute to the vibe and the feel of the thing, especially if it's sort of appropriate to be interacting, depending on the gig you're doing, to be interacting with the other band members. I'll definitely be doing that. But if it's something where I'm really concentrating on the playing, so it's a particularly challenging part or something I really want to nail, or if I'm recording in particular, I personally tend to look way more at a fixed point. I might gaze into the ether, as John says. I might close my eyes. I do sometimes do that, but most often I would stare at a fixed point. And the reason for that is, it sounds funny, but if I really want to drill into something, I really want to, like again, if it's recording and it matters so much to really nail it, I feel like by staring at a fixed point, this is again only my experience, it allows me to really free up as much sort of bandwidth as possible in my head for how it sounds, for really focusing on that. I'm not being distracted by the sort of flood of information coming in for all the things that I'm looking at, looking around the room. I'm just really drilling in on that. If I've got in-ears in, I tend to look at a fixed point, which typically would be down here somewhere if I was playing a groove. And then if it's a monitor, if it's a wedge situation rather than in-ear monitors, I've got this weird thing, I'd probably sort of stare into the monitor a bit. These are just my things. So to repeat, obviously if I'm reading music, I'd look there. If I'm not, I'd be looking a little bit around the kit. And if it's a live gig, around the kit, I'll be looking at the other members of the band, I'll be looking out to the audience, a bit of a mixture of those things. However, if it was recording or a section where I really needed to focus in on it, I would personally either close my eyes, stare into the ether, as John says, or I most often would be looking at a fixed point just to really focus in as fully as possible to cut out external distractions and to free as much bandwidth in my head as possible to really focus on what I'm playing. Hope that makes a bit of sense. Nice one, John. That's a really interesting question. Any other questions, give us a shout. See you soon.